Whew. This is a fun car, man. It really changes direction. Possibly the most fun front-wheel drive car out there.
Welcome to Downshift, everyone. My name is Paulo.
And my name is Matt, and this is the facelifted 2024 Hyundai Elantra N. And we've been all over its competition, from the Civic Type R, the WRX, the GR Corolla, the Golf R, and I guess maybe the GTI. So today we're gonna see just how this thing stacks up to its competition with the best and the rest. We're gonna start on the con side of the video, and this one's a little tough to say it's a con because the truth is, the trunk is actually a pretty good size. It's about 14 cubic feet of space, nice rectangular opening, really deep on the sides, nice and deep this way. You do have the lateral bracing that way. 14 cubic feet does put it on the small side of the spectrum because inherently this is competing against hatchbacks, but the trunk itself is actually a good space. The rear seats only fold as one unit, so you're only gonna have the max opening, and if you're worried about this red scaffolding or tower bracing, you can take that out. It's about 4 bolts and you can take it out. The only reason that we put this on the con side of the video is because all the other things it competes against, minus the WRX, are hatchbacks and inherently have more space. But it's still a good practical trunk. Then we're gonna talk about the rear seats, which, yes, they're on the con side of the video, but as you can see, this is really hard to call a con, right? And I even have reasonable headroom. If I actually put my head back, I am gonna hit my nub, but it's a great size, even for 6-footers here. The reason that it's kind of on the con side is because you don't have vents. You do have 2 USB-Cs down here, but you don't have map pockets and you don't have conventional cup holders. You have a little bit of like water bottle storage in your door bin, but it's not even really like oriented for a water bottle or a cup. And I don't know, it's just missing a few things, but it is a good space. And then there's just a host of tiny little nitpicks, like the cabin here is better than you would get in the WRX or the GR Corolla, but it's not quite as nice. The build, the materials as what you would get in the Civic Type R, or obviously the Golf R, or even the GTI, really. Another weird nitpick is you get the stick, which is probably the one you want, but the DCT is very good, but you're only gonna get a sunroof in the DCT cars. And I guess the last thing, if I am gonna complain, I would like wireless Apple CarPlay. It is still wired, but we move on. Let's talk about all the great things about this car, because there's a lot. But then on the positive side of the video, we are gonna start with the beating heart of this car. This is Hyundai's N motor. We've seen it in a couple different variations between this, the Kona N, and the Veloster N. This is a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder, 276 horsepower. You can go up to 286 if you go for the DCT equipped cars. That's gonna mean N-Grin Boost, which is kind of an overdrive IndyCar push to pass, Formula One DR. It just gives you 10 more horsepower for about 20 seconds, and then it needs 40 seconds to cool. But either way, 289 pound-feet of torque. 0 to 60 is what, low 5 seconds?
Yeah.
Fuel economy, about 24 mpg. That's pretty good, but my favorite thing is the noises that come out of this thing. Now it is going to have a little bit less power than something like a GR Corolla, a Civic Type R, a Golf R, but it's going to be bang on in line with the WRX, and I just think it's a nice motor.
Yeah, and then new for 2024, they have these reinforced engine mounts that you can see one right there. I think they did a good job.
I like it. A lot of character and a lot of soul in this motor.
But I love it.
Okay.
I love it for other people.
I love that for you. Okay. And I do have to say, for 2024, with this facelift, I think they corrected the really only issue I had with the car, and that's the front end looked kind of weird. But now, with this new redesign, the new headlights, the new front fascia, this lower red splitter here with the little red tab is very Ioniq 5. I think you even get some of that little detail in here. Now, this is a single LED running bar. It looks like it goes all the way across. It doesn't. This is just a piece of like shiny metallic chrome, but you still get N here in the hood, but this is just so much cleaner. It makes the car look more natural, it makes it look more elegant. It kind of has like an 80s cyberpunk vibe to me, but you still have the red all the way around the car from your splitter and then down your skirt and embossed here. We've got what, these 19-inch wheels wrapped in Michelin Pilot Sport 4S tires, and these brakes are amazing on the track. I do like these wheels. They've taken weight out of the wheels to reduce that unsprung weight so it feels more dynamic and sharp, especially on turn-in. Black wing mirrors, and then we have the Hulk smash side door panel. So there's just still a lot going on stylistically, but I think the fact that they've cleaned up the front is a huge help. You do have some strafing here on your rear door, and then your little red accents continue around the back. Your back full width taillight, still in an H shape. You still have a pretty aggressive rear spoiler and your pretty aggressive rear diffuser. And speaking of handsome, as the handsomest guy that reviews cars on YouTube, every year that title gets harder and harder to hold on to. Like, I just turned 30 this year, which means my body has just run out of warranty and I can't drink 36 beers and eat Culvers without consequences anymore. But honestly, my diet is the thing that I struggle with most. I do this, I'm a freelance producer for a couple media companies, I do on-air broadcast stuff for Road America, and that means I'm just busy a lot. And when I get busy, the diet and exercise is usually the first thing that goes. But that's where Factor comes in. Factor keeps me from having to think about meal prep, and it saves me huge amounts of time. I don't have to find recipes on the internet, fight seniors at the grocery store, I don't have to do all the prep and cooking at home, and I don't have to leave dishes in the sink that are just going to cause an argument with my wife. Instead, I'm getting chef-crafted, dietitian-approved meals delivered right to my door, plus there's 35 meals to choose from per week, so the routine never gets stale, and I get to choose categories like Calorie Smart for cutting for the summer, or Protein Plus if I want to put on a little muscle so I can fight Paulo. I mean, these are chef-crafted meals that I can have on the table in 2 minutes, so I can spend all that extra time that I would have spent meal prepping and all that stuff, I can spend that time with my family and with my friends, and especially with the weather being nice now, I really want to maximize that time. And not only that, but I can flex my plan, so when GMC wants to send me to South Carolina for 2 days to drive their new Acadia, I don't have to waste meals when I'm traveling. I can change my order up every week if I want to, with plans from 4 to 18 meals per week, or I can pause or reschedule my deliveries entirely. Now, Factor did sponsor this video, but I've been using Factor for about a week now, and it really has saved me so much time, from gathering new recipes to grocery shopping to meal prep and cleanup after the meal. I've been able to spend more time doing things that I want, like spending time with my wife and our dogs and going to the lake, and I've been able to do all that while staying disciplined in my diet and seeing better results in my overall health and fitness. So head to factor75.com or click the link below and use code DOWNSHIFT50 to get 50% off your first Factor box and 20% off your next month of orders. That's code DOWNSHIFT50 at factor75.com to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month of orders. Now back to the video. And then there's the fact that this thing is a complete riot. Now, we have it with the manual transmission. We've had a couple goes in the manual transmission. It's very, very good. The DCT is also good. Here you get rev match. On the DCT, you're gonna get NGB button. This red button on the steering wheel is gonna say NGB. That stands for N-Grin Boost. And basically, it's gonna give you 10 extra horsepower for 20 seconds. Then it's gonna take about 40 seconds to like cool down and recover, but it's just kind of cool. It's like an IndyCar push to pass, a Formula One DRS. Power is gonna go through that transmission, either one, to just the front wheels through a magical ELSD. I think they call it their like corner carving differential. I don't care what they call it because it's very, very good. There's a little bit of torque steer at the limit, but the diff is very, very good, and we'll put some on-track footage here in a minute. You do get adaptive suspension here on something that's like $35,000. That's pretty impressive, and the suspension has been totally revised and gone over again for this 2024 facelift year. The wheels are now, for 2024, 33 pounds lighter all around, so it's like 8 pounds per wheel, or 8-ish. That is something that you can actively feel a difference in. The brakes are excellent. The PS4S tires around the sides, fantastic. Grip everywhere. The diff pulls you out of a corner. Let's just show the lap. One more. Still not really losing brakes into turn one. That's awesome. Went wide there. But then when you take it off the track and then you go home, it's surprisingly dailyable. It quiets down, the suspension softens off, the steering lightens up, and it gets really easy to drive. Like, you're really not making compromises with this car. And one of the best things about this car, arguably, is the price. This is really cheap and affordable compared to everything else in the segment. It starts at $33,700 as tested, with the $500 for the Performance Blue, which is absolutely the color you should get. We're at about $35,300. But Paul, how does that relate to the other cars in the segment that we've been talking about?
Yeah, WRX starts at $32,700. The GR Corolla starts at just under $37,000. The Civic Type R starts at just under $45,000, and the Golf R starts just under $46,000.
So an incredible value proposition here in this Elantra N. And then I have to say, the interior here is actually pretty good. It's nicer than you're gonna have on the WRX. It's nicer than you're gonna have on the GR Corolla. And I think a lot of it, for me, starts with the seats, actually. Now, these are the same seats that we've had for a while. These are actually the same seats you're gonna get in the Ioniq 5N. But they light up. I wonder where they got that. Black is the only interior color you're gonna get, but you do have blue perforations in your suede or your Alcantara, which is pretty nice, really aggressive bolstering. It does kind of pinch my shoulders. I'm fairly broad up top, but I do think these seats are pretty comfortable. They're manually adjustable, but they are heated. You do have the oh shit handle for the passenger here, which is kind of nice, but overall, the interior here is just fairly good compared to what you're going to get from the Toyota or the Subaru. I don't think it's on par, obviously, with the VW. It's not quite as nice as you would get in the Type R, but you even have some detailing on your door with some perforations there as well.
Also really like the detail of embossing the N on the floor mats. Just a nice subtle detail that they added.
Yeah, it's like a full badge just on the floor mat. But I do like the steering wheel as well. This is kind of one that we're pretty familiar with, but you do have the Performance Blue N buttons here, so your custom N mode now, or 1 and then 2. You've also got your rev match button here. On your DCT cars, this will be NGB. That's how you activate that overboost function. Another kind of interesting thing is the DCT cars come with a sunroof. You can't get a sunroof in the manual, but your climate stuff is all pretty physical down here. You still have some physical tactility there. You got a wireless charger, and I think it just makes sense. I like the little accents, and it's pretty nice for the price. And then when we talk more specifically about the technology in here, the only weird omission is that you don't get a head-up display. Now, that being said, really nothing in this segment has a head-up display, but you do get a fully digital instrument cluster. It does change a little bit with your drive modes, and of course you've got your N buttons here, which goes with fire, and then it looks...
That animation is awesome.
It looks kind of like fun and cool. It's a little boy racery, but I think it's kind of fun. But when we get here to your center screen, it's pretty good. I mean, it's very classic Hyundai stuff. The graphics are pretty familiar. It's nice and snappy. You do have your N mode screen, which shows you way more information than you probably need, but you've got active telemetry, you've got active tracking on your temps. You know, here's your RPM, you've got your brake bar. This was really interesting when we were on track, and I realized that, oh, I can brake more. And then you can also go to specific circuits. So like, we've got Road America here. So I could actually see myself when I was driving on track, driving right here. It's really kind of cool. So the N screen is pretty sweet. You do have Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, but it is wired. That's a bit annoying. And then you also do have Hyundai staples like quiet mode. So it is going to dull the speakers in the back if you got kids hanging out back there. We'll go to media. You already know what's coming up right now. Sounds of nature. Where is it? Yes, Lively Forest. One of the best. But you also have a bunch of other different ambient sounds, which is just kind of cool. And then, of course, you don't have 360 camera. Nothing has 360 camera in this class, but your reverse camera is pretty good. It's a little overexposed, a little bright, but it's a bright day today. So overall, I think the tech suite here really works.
You also have really, really good lane keep assist and cruise control, obviously, but I would say that the lane keep assist in this is better than that.
And I do think, generally speaking, this is an incredible thing for Hyundai to have brought for this price, this class. I complimented the WRX on having it, but I always bring it back to the BMW M2. You didn't have lane keeping, didn't have adaptive cruise for your manual. You have it here. Actually, you don't have adaptive cruise, but you do have lane keep. It's just really pretty good. It's a little better.
Okay, we are in the Elantra N. It was a fun week.
It's been a fun week. This has been a fun car ever since it came out. I remember going down to Atlanta, doing the motorsports park and back-to-backing this and the Kona N, and it was just a brilliant time. I really, really love these N cars. They have so much personality. But let's talk about some of the standouts.
Yeah, so I think for me, I think the biggest thing that stands out is this is just such a great value buy. $35,000 with their warranty. I mean, that's incredible. Like, it makes all the right noises. You have this awesome gearbox. The brakes are really good. It's nice and light. You got some really sticky tires.
Yeah.
It's quick around the track. It's just really, really good.
I'm like salty as hell because this is faster on track than my car,
Yeah.
than my M340. And it,
Yep.
it really, I mean, it's a very specific track. It's a low speed, technical autocross, type track. So the lightweight of this thing really helps, and the brakes really stand out. But yeah, it's just the package that you get here for the money is just incredible.
Yeah, I would say the only drawback for me personally is I would personally want an all-wheel drive system.
Yeah.
I think that this front-wheel drive is good, but I can just totally tell that it sometimes torque steers a little bit, sometimes has some understeer.
Yeah.
I mean, I know they do a decent job trying to mitigate some of that stuff, but for me, it's still a little bit prevalent. I just would prefer an all-wheel drive system.
Yeah.
Which brings us to a good point, some of the competitors.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's kind of funny because all of the competitors that are all-wheel drive, I think I would take after this. Because to me, it's Civic Type R, this, GR Corolla, Golf R, maybe together, and then WRX.
That's really interesting. Because
I really like all the cars. To be
Yeah,
honest.
no,
really
they're all
do.
good.
They're all good cars.
in their own right, in their own way. I would personally go Corolla GR, Civic Type R, then this, and then the WRX.
Yeah, so the WRX either way is the lowest.
Yeah.
There is a charm to that car though. I do like it, but yeah, there's just something about this that has so much personality, and we talked about it off camera where you were like next to a BMW and then this is making all sorts of noises, and like you maybe feel a certain way during something like that, but I think just most of the time it's just kind of fun. There's a levity to it. There's a I'm not taking myself so seriously aspect to it,
Yep.
and I just like that.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, though, the main reason what I would say is, like, I think that this thing can keep up, for the most part, from a performance perspective with the Corolla GR, but I just personally like the look of the GR Corolla a little bit more, and then it also comes with an all-wheel drive system, which I really would want.
That is super helpful for living around here. Now, if you don't get weather, you don't get snow, maybe you don't need it, but yeah, I think the standout for me is, like, these are great cars, all of them. They're like, you're not gonna make a bad decision, I think, either way. There's just, if you wanna have the most car for the least amount of money, I think it's this.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah, and the 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty that you get with Hyundai is just great.
Yeah.
It's hard to beat that. I wish that there was something like this when I was back in like college or right out of college, because I feel like I definitely would have been attracted to buying something like this for this price point. It's just such a good bargain buy.
It is, 100%. So with that, thank you to Hyundai for letting us have a go in your facelifted Elantra N. Thanks to you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.